daughter, and I invited couple. The term of that, more than 1,000 बकाले जी रेकड़ी खाली मेमण जा बच्चा के धंधा, more than 1,000 फ्रूट અને બકાલે जो धंधो जामनगर ये अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह કે whom to give, whom not to give, because બધે બકાલે जो धंधो करता मेमण जा बच्चा
एनआईसी उपाड़े थी बच्चे जो स्कूल से गिनी ने बच्चे पैम्पर्स बच्चे एजुकेशन जो WMO एनआईसी उपाड़े थी. दिस इज वन ऑफ अ लेगेसी प्रोजेक्ट है कि आलिया काउंसिल फैमिली तो वो नानू है कि एकरो कम करो था खाली ये बोलो था तो बिके नानू भी है आ व्यो सी तो दो बच्ची हूं उठा बदे कम कर दी उनके खबर भी क्या हो गई या बच्चे अच्छी ने बिके मेरी ने बिके कवर नहीं लिया इतना वसीला है ऐसा टीम वाला थी गई तो बेटा ये आई थी मादर के दियो रजिया मां के इंशाल्लाह ये बच्ची टीम माशाल्लाह इतना कम करेगी ना कि गड़ा ने थकी विनोदा ने असा इन्हें जो कवर नहीं करनी तो रोज जोड़ा खपता कि असा कवर नहीं करने पर कितना
राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज कर दीजिए.
हम सबको साथ में
and Ramzan we take care of all the STRE preparation and distribution of food. This is the learning center now. CH Bangamati is the This is the learning point in Bangalore. It has become a very famous place to people. We can admit only limited, but a lot of people are now aspiring to be in this. This is spoken English. Program student. Every time we have gatherings and Ramzan we have SCRE meals, ration kits, clothes, and every member's house the clothes are delivered without telling them what they are, from whom it is coming. The money cover is received by them, they don't know who has given what.
So mashallah, Aziz bhai, you guys, the South Indian chapter is self-sufficient. So inshallah we pray that North India also becomes self-sufficient by themselves. And I think
साउथ इंडिया के अलग कर दिया ना तो ऐसा एक तो ऑब्जेक्शन की नहीं आवाज़ सोनी बा ने अशरफा की वजह से अलग किया है तो इसमें क्रोधी हो खबर है कि पैसे वाला नीचे आ लिया ने ऐसा कड़खा बजा मत
No, I pray that you learn something from the North India, South India to become self-sufficient.
Pandemic time, we were given the list of people in Gujarat who were either home treatment or hospital treatment. And we gave directly to the person's bank account. Nowadays, the digital has become so good, transferring money has become very easy. Instead of giving to somebody and then they cash it and they go and deliver. Anywhere in Gujarat, you can transfer the money.
सोचो कि ऐसा इडा उडा हाथ मारी ने थकी बिना तो आएंगे खड़खड़ाई होगा कि ऐसा कहने डियो ना तो पूरा 100% आएंगे मैं अच्छी भी
I think we will be
the full board के जितना member present है नसा जो मेमन Olympics ने conclave में 11th and
Hello everyone. We have a very limited time, so I'll start with Ashraf Uncle, the regional president with us, then Shoaib Mangroria. We all know.
Higher education level, they are alhamdulillah properly ready to face the challenges in the society. Just to give you a little brief and very short details, there are 3-4 key players, and that is those who are on the board. That is definitely my brother Shabir Qasim Muchiara, of course Arif Habib Bhai is right on the top, then we have Ibrahim Qasim, then we have Shoaib Bhai and all these. What we did together, we signed an MOU where we have decided to donate and to raise the funds of 500 million, जो पाकिस्तानी रुपीस में 50 करोड़ थी, तकरीबन $1.8 million, if I'm not mistaken. Half of this is contributed by MEB, these 5 or 6 people, and 50% by WMO. It's a legacy project for WMO. The reason is once the structure is ready, with definitely WMO logos and everything, then it will attract this children's which we are aiming to, let's say for example, if we have something like a 9,000, that is MEP, that's what I'm dividing two. That's what I'm dividing two. MEP where we only do the projects, construction project, inshallah. Secondly, within this, like I just forgot to mention one more name, which is probably familiar. Alhamdulillah, it is a very positive attitude that is going on. Now, further,
we do have our own institute. We are going to grab them from very primary level, secondary level, graduation, and if possible, need your support. With these words, I will hand it back to Ashraf.
I'll request Jawad to give you the full details of all the students.
We have a very short time, so I'll, moving, Uncle was saying Sri Lanka helps us a lot. So Ashraf Uncle, I'm looking at you. We need funds like anything, because we are getting registration day and night, and we cannot stop it. When it's come to education, it was...
Jawad, these are students which
जे बच्चा जो पाके नाम लिखता है या जमात का नाम लिखता है उन बच्चे के जो है ना एजुकेशन देता है मेहमान एजुकेशन मसला ये है कि नंढी जमात को साव नंढी जमात को भी जो 5 लाख में 2 लाख भी वाजे ज़कात जमा न था करे से तो पानी होते 50% मांगते हैं 50% में 80,000 रुपया देता है पाकिस्तान में 80,000 WMO दी थी WMO ने जमात
1,000, 7,000, 10,000, approx $10,000.
10,000 WMO share to the total.
Yeah. 10 and 10, it means 22,000 approximately.
$206.
Yeah.
No, Jama. So altogether it's 10,000. The expense is 10,000 as of now, which we have to bear for those 700 students.
Salman ko request karo, abhi committed.
$10,000, yeah.
Okay, चलो
कैलकुलेशन है सारा
1,30,000
1,30,000 130 कहाँ 10,000
$100,000.
$100,000 approximately.
WMO has to pay $50,000.
50,000, yeah, half of it.
WMO has to pay $50,000.
50,000, yeah, half of it.
We have health project, gift of sight was done under the leadership of Altab Sangra. UAT eye grafting was done since the inception of this project. UAT eye grafting was done since the inception of this project. Yes, it was a great, and it was with the help of. That's not like you can go for a zakat. Yeah, this is zakat, and you can spend. If you want to choose a specific project, maybe it's gift of sight. You can go for education.
Can you explain the issue of health card?
We should launch a health card. Now, what health card is doing? It's like we have a partnership with Tawakuf, and with having said that, you can spend like 4,500 for one family, and it's quite easy. I mean, 4,500
Federation joint venture. It is done with Takaful Bazaar. Now, Takaful Bazaar, this health card, which is something like, let's say 4,500 per card, move forward. That is the first thing. Second, the maternity charges 60,000 will be covered in. Third, in case of Kamran Ghani Bhai, Middle East chapter, mashallah, itni support asa ke health card mein mili hai कि बस आओ सिंपली चुने कि अल्लाह पाक इन्हें के अजर दिए सलमान भाई बहुत વધારે इंटरेस्ट दुनिया very appreciate दुनिया very appreciate कि खुद पर्सनली इनमें इन्वॉल्व तक के हेल्थ कार्ड
The biggest problem,
खुद पर्सनली इनमें इन्वॉल्व तक के हेल्थ कार्ड
the biggest problem in Pakistan is OPD insurance.
No OPD.
So like you go to a GP in London, you figure out what the problem is, and then they send you to the specialist. Pakistan
Also, maternity is never covered in the.
In maternity में covered है.
In this maternity is also covered.
So individual groups, business groups do that. They have OPD insurance.
C-sex. तो वो પછી 4 લાખ ન લે. C-sex. તો वो પછી 4 લાખ ન લેવાની. તો that means આપણો બહુ comfortable position achieve નથી બદલે. Funds are definitely required for very clear.
Yes, ये एक चीज बड़ी क्लियर नहीं थी ना. Okay. Mahana Mother for 500 families, monthly support for 500 families. 30 million PKR has been spent on this project as well, and once again from families. 30 million PKR has been spent on this project as well, and once again from Middle East. Samana family, Imran Bhai and Farkungal is supporting us directly as well. You can, for a student as well, you will get the whole data. Previously there was some complaints, everything has been sorted. Special needs.
What work have you been doing and what is the collection? The total amount of
Collections, I'll come back once I...
And giving us the opportunity to be the first community to have a book launch with you. And thank you so much for giving me the first opportunity. Although it wasn't mine, it was Dr. Shiraz Rahman, but as Bashir Bhai said, I am very quick in actions and I take very good decisions and I can change my plans, so I change my plan immediately. Because when Banerjee was signing the copy, she says, oh, this is going to be my first ever copy. That's what I said, this has to be mine. so thank you Shiraz Bhai also. And by the way, I paid for your copy, so the copy is there. I don't know who took it. Because the mood I was in before Sedaji came was a very different mood. I'm going to try to have both the moods while I speak in front of you today. Thank you all for coming from North America to Watford, like Bashir Bhai said. And the reason why I keep on changing plans for WMO is because I'm from the media industry and we are dynamic people. And dynamic people have to be changed. And the reason why I became a part of WMO and became the president was to change WMO. To change WMO to the new speed and the new era that the world is now living in. We have to, Memons are, I would say, in most of the communities, we are saying they are the most well-off people, the most dynamic and the most business-minded people in the world. At many fronts in Pakistan, especially, we are known as the Jews of Pakistan. Because we are very small in numbers, but if you see any business arena, any business area, the top person you will see a member. So and so when the Prime Minister of Pakistan sits down for the economical issues of Pakistan, to resolve that issue, the hall will be full of at least 90% Memon businessmen trying to figure out the financials and economic policies of Pakistan. Same thing in India. So we are a bunch of people who are aggressive, who have done well for ourselves, and now WMO is there to do well for our community. First, this platform was established by my late uncle, Haji Abdul-Razak, who is known as ARY, Abdul-Razak Yaqub. He was the brainchild of WMO and many other things that the Memon community right now are enjoying. He was the first person who actually told the Memons that you have to come out in the open. You cannot hide behind. We had this thing in the Memons that if you're giving from your right hand, your left hand shouldn't know. But now the days have changed. When you give from your right hand, your whole body should know and the world should know. Because people in the competition age want to give more than what you have given. So now, Hari Saab, our late Hari Saab, we were just hearing and watching the Memon anthem that we have. And I saw pictures of Haji Abdul-Razak and all the founders of WMO who made this amazing organization, which has one of the best constitutions in any community I have seen. And because the constitution of WMO is actually the pillar of our community, of what we are. And we abide by the constitution, and have spurred up. But the only reason why WMO has moved from strength to strength is because of the Constitution. And thanks to our founders, one of the founders, Iqbal Khan, Bashir Sarkar, Bashar Kani, who were part of the Constitution. Bashar and Bashir always tells me that when they joined WMO, they were very and for the community. And then another story, the South Africa chapter. Fazul Ayub told me, Sardar Dada told me at night that Hai Saab, when he came up with the idea, he was calling all the neighbors around the world. 22, 23 years ago, there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook, there was no WhatsApp that you can find out where is the most affluent or the most dynamic leader of the women community in South Africa, in America. He found out. And he called up Professor Ayub, and Professor Ayub told me that I asked him, who are you? He said, my name is Haji Abdul Razak and I am from ARY. He said, I didn't know ARY. I knew that somebody was there who used to do the whole business. And Professor Bai said, and he said, this is my idea. This is what we want to do for WMO. And Professor Bai said, okay, I'm coming. And they all came. And they heard what he had to say. And then they came again and again. And I asked Fazil Bhai, and I asked Bashir Bhai, how many WMO AGMs have you missed? And they all said one. Because our mother passed away and he was sick. So this is the kind of love that we have for our community. And being Memons, of course, we are Memons, but first of all, we are Muslims. The most important is we are Muslims. And our tagline, and our target, and our motto is to help the mankind. We serve the mankind. If you look at the Pakistan diaspora, because the reason why I keep on saying Pakistan, my Indian chapter, please don't get offended, because we are quite affluent in Pakistan as Indians. 65% of the zakat and donation done in Pakistan to any charity organization is by Memons. That is how strong we are. When I took over this job as the president, my first job was to promote WMO, promote the Memons around the world. Because I believe that if we do betterment for our community, we can spread that. For example, we have hospitals around the world. We have schools around the world. We have education boards around the world. We have many things around the world. And we say we are WMO, this is for the Memons. But if you open up a hospital, it's not only for the Memons. It's for all mankind. Whoever walks in, I've never seen my counterparts or my brothers and sisters in the community say, sorry, if you're not a Memon, you can't come into a Memon hospital. If you look at Pakistan, most hospitals in cardiology, in any place, you see a Memon in the forefront. So when I took over as the president of WMO, my first job, when I made my KPIs, my first KPI was to aggressively promote the Memons. We, as Memons, should be known around the world. So I went and met a lot of business people, a lot of top Memon business people in their countries, in their societies, in their communities. I said, Bha, we call Bhais and Bhas. So we called Bha, I said, Bha, you need to come out in the front. You are a big businessman, you're a community leader, you have to show yourself. People should know that this company is associated by this man. And believe me, when they see it's a Memon, it's a Muslim Memon, they will, and they would want to be like you. They aspire to you. You inspire them. And this will actually make our community stronger. And this will make the Muslim community stronger. The most important part is that we have to, with the problems in the world right now, Muslims have to be spoken about. The name of your book is so inspiring, and it's such a dual meaning that you can take it wherever you want when you pick up when you buy the book. So my job was to promote the women's, and alhamdulillah, for the last 4 years since I've been the president, we have done it aggressively. My whole team, Chairman Board of Trustees, everybody working together, we have made sure that every Memon knows about WMO. You know, we are the first organization which has a separate constitution for the ladies' wing. No Memon organization has, thanks to our chairperson, Shivana, and of course, Bashir Bab, who put day and night in creating the first ever GLW, the Global Ladies Wing. Before that, we had the Youth Wing. This year, this day and age belongs to the youth. It's their days. We have to work in their pace. Like Bashir Bhai said, that I keep on, I'm a fast person. Bashir Bhai, you are a young man, you have to cope up with it. You cope up with my speed, you know. So the GYW was formed 3 years ago, 2017. And mashallah, we have, I don't know, a lot of members in the GYW right now. Humongous amount of members in the GYW. And GYW. We believe, as WMO, or as, I believe, as Muslims, we believe that education comes from home. Education comes from the mother. I always believe that. I remember when I was a little kid, my dad was always out working, traveling, same as me. So whatever I am and whoever I am is because of my mom. She made sure that I went to school. She made sure that I dressed properly. So education comes. So we believe in the WMO that if we educate our women, our girls, education will spread. If a mom is educated, she will push the kids towards education. There are a lot of projects that I wanted to talk about, but we are short of time. And I want to give Baris Wasi the stage and the time to talk about. Baris, we have 9 chapters altogether. All the regional management committee presidents are present with us from Pakistan. Some of them did not get a visa to the UK, unfortunately, but most of us are here. Yeah, and so we have 9 chapters, and as you all know, the most amount of density of women are in India and Pakistan. And like the India chapter said a while ago, there's a lot of poverty in India. Humongous amount of poverty in India. I have suggested this yesterday in the MC meeting. I will suggest it today. And when I go to Pakistan, I am going to speak to a lot of affluent members in Middle East and in Pakistan that the education fund, which Ashraf Bha was talking to you about, which is the Women Education Monetary Fund, the IMF, which I call them, for the women. We have raised 5 billion rupees. So just to clear, Faizan, MEB has raised 50 crores, 500 million, and MEMF has raised 5 billion. In a span of one WhatsApp, I remember just one WhatsApp, 50 members, 5 billion rupees was raised. And I'm going to speak to the Pakistan chapter and the Pakistani businessmen who all hail from India. They have families in India. To even add in this fund for India. And like I said yesterday in the MC meeting, this is a role model for us. The MEMF, if you have noted that it's not MEMF Pakistan, it's MEMF. It's a fund for the women's. We cannot drag the women kid for education. We can give accessibility to education. That's what our motto is. If the kid has access to education, it will be easier for him to get attracted and motivated for education. So inshallah we'll do that. The last thing that I want to talk to you about, as the president, to the AGM is that the world has changed, the time has changed. We now need to aggressively market WMO and its initiatives. One of our new members yesterday from North America said that we don't have projects. I'm sure you saw India chapter and you saw the Pakistan chapter. We have humongous projects that we've already put on table, and we have humongous projects that we have completed in the last 22 years. We have raised over $100 million and spent those $100 million on the women community. And now we have a lot of initiatives. You've heard about the health card for the first time ever. If the health card is successful in Pakistan, we can replicate the same health card in India. If the Women Education Board is successful in Pakistan, we can replicate it in India. If the, what was the third thing, Ashok, that Pakistan is doing? Education, health, rehab. So, the idea of rehabilitation of families. So in India and Pakistan, the only problem is little kids are working. So the parents don't allow them to go to school because they are the bread earners of their house. So what we came up with was to elevate the whole family. So it's a family uplift program. We take care of them together. We pay for the education. We pay for their roof. We pay for the health. That's our motto, right? The three things which is in the constitution is health, education, and housing. So if we take care of these three things, if we take care of two things, health and housing, education will follow. So these are the things that we do. And once we, I think, I'm sure a family uplift program has already been started in India. But all these programs that we have started working on, now we need to promote this. We need to promote this in every way possible for non-women donors to come and participate in our work. Thank you so much, everybody. We will be talking about initiatives and the work that we're doing as the AGM progresses. And just a request, that the AGM will continue till 5 o'clock. So the Global Ladies Wing and the Youth Wing now is part of the AGM. So I would request all of you to be here till the end of the AGM. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Salma, Jazakallah khair for that. Thank you so much. I would like to thanks, Mark. That was great. I'd like to invite our chief guest for today, Baroness Varsi, to start her talk. And Baroness Varsi, round of applause, please.
Good morning, Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to speak for not very long. My husband always says that the best speeches from politicians are those that are very short. So I'm going to speak for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to open it up to questions, because I think that these times that we find ourselves in, both here in Europe and the United Kingdom and around the world, as such, that it's time for us to start having open conversations. So I genuinely hope that we have some interesting questions and we can have a conversation off the back of that. I'm going to take a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, to give you a little bit of information about me. My name is Seda. I'm a member of the House of Lords. I'm 53. I am the daughter of an immigrant mill worker. My grandfather arrived in the United Kingdom from Pakistan in 1958. My father arrived in the 60s. I was born in the 70s. I am one of 5 girls. I grew up in an all-female family. When I was born, my mum said that things got better. My dad stopped being a mill worker and became a bus conductor, and then eventually went on to become a bus driver, and then eventually, alhamdulillah, started his own business and retired last year at the age of 84, having made a huge success of his own life and a success for so many other members of his family. He's the man who started out with not having shoes to wear when he went to school, and alhamdulillah, he retired as a multi-million-pound successful businessman. It shows really what this country is capable of at its best. He also, like my mum, and my mum was the ultimate and is the ultimate tiger mum, wanted their children to have a life which was different to theirs. And for that, education was the bedrock of that. My mum, like many women of my generation, chose our careers. I don't know how many of you have had this conversation. You hit the age of about 14 and you have a careers conversation at school. You come back and speak to your parents, as I did, and said, I met the careers officer today and they were asking me what I wanted to do in my career. And I said, Mum, I really love the arts. I really think that I should take some wonderful English classics and put them on the stage. And that's as far as the conversation got. And she said, you will be a doctor, or a lawyer, or an accountant, or an engineer. Take your pick. So I chose law. I went on to qualify as a lawyer, specialized as a prosecutor, then in criminal defense, eventually started my own practice. But when people say that a single event can change the course of your life, for me, September the 11th changed the course of my life. I went from being a black British person, an Asian British person, where what made me different was the color of my skin. And I felt in many ways we made huge progress in that space. And then post 9/11, I was no longer black and British. What othered me was that I was now Muslim and British. And that what stood me out as different, what created a conflict really for me, now became my faith. And in many ways, in 2001 and 2002, because of possibly what was happening in my own life at that time, I wasn't prepared to refight those battles for equal worth and equal value. So in 2002, I picked up my little girl and I went to Pakistan, the country that I didn't know, but I knew that my grandfathers had come from, a place where I knew my parents had a home in Islamabad. I opened up the home, bought myself a car, and traveled the length and breadth of Pakistan. There are conservative, neo-conservative colleagues in my party who think that was my jihadi gap year, but it was not. And there were many times where I'm sure I was probably in the same city as Osama, but we never met. But having spent that year away and realized that in many ways I had run away, I felt that I needed to come back and play my part. So I returned home and I decided to throw my hat in the ring in politics. I stood as a parliamentary candidate, which Iqbal Bhai will remember, in Dewsbury. In 2004, I fought the election in 2005. And post that election, I was introduced to a young man whose selection campaign I became involved in. That young man was David Cameron. He went on to become Prime Minister of this country, and he went on to make me a member of the House of Lords. At the age of 36, I became the youngest member of the upper house. And in 2010, when we formed the new coalition government, I became the first Muslim to serve in a British cabinet. I served as chairman of the Conservative Party. I served as a minister at the Foreign Office. And in 2014, there was another Gaza war. And it was in the middle of that war when I was the Minister for the UN, the Minister for Human Rights, the Minister for the ICC, that I was being asked to sign off on resolutions and our positions on UN Security Council resolutions and Human Rights Council resolutions that simply did not accord with our values. We have a very clear policy in the United Kingdom on the Middle East. We believe in a two-state solution. We believe in 67 borders. We believe in East Jerusalem being the capital of both countries. We believe in a return of refugees. We believe in international accountability. We believe in human rights. These are our policies. But what I realized in 2014 was that all of our stated policies were simply not being implemented. And despite being the daughter of an immigrant mill worker, despite sitting at the cabinet table, despite doing the best job that I could possibly have done serving my country at the top table, I realized that at that point that I had to vote with my conscience, and I resigned from cabinet on the issue of Gaza. Because sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you exercise power by sitting in a position of authority, and sometimes you exercise power by giving up your position. Since then, I have been campaigning on a whole series of issues, including issues around the Middle East. But what I found most disturbing over the last decade or so, not just in the United Kingdom, but in Europe and in the United States and much broader, this rising tide of anti-Muslim sentiment, this rising tide of anti-Muslim racism, Islamophobia, is now starting to take hold in the mainstream. For me, this disturbs me. I'm the granddaughter of two men, my paternal and maternal grandfathers who served in the British Indian Army. My great uncle served as a prisoner of war fighting for this country. My father broke his back building this country post those wars. I served my country at the top table, and I have a child back in uniform in the armed forces of the United Kingdom serving to protect this country. And yet 70 years on from that migration story, I am being told, you don't belong, you don't matter, you're the other, you're uniquely different, and you will be judged to a standard much higher than we judge anybody else. That you will be held accountable for any of the actions of any one of the 2 billion people around the world who may have been born into the same faith that you were born into. That you have to somehow account for every single line in a 7th century text as we try and interpret it in a decontextualized way. And so earlier this year, I wrote my first book in 2017, but earlier this year, it suddenly occurred to me that in politics, in media, in policy making, in arts, in culture, in Hollywood, in Bollywood, in so many spaces, we were constantly being told that actually Muslims don't matter. And that's where, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I can either get angry or I can write. And 12 weeks later, Muslims Don't Matter was born. And today is the first time that I'm launching it at public. I want to finish on this. So often Muslim communities will say, well, how do we protect ourselves? How do we make life better for ourselves? The conversation that I want to start goes beyond that. The conversation I want to say is that for me, whether it's the way in which you do business and ethics, whether it's the way in which you look after your neighbours, 70 to the right and 70 to the left, whether it's the way in which you do charity, whether it's the way in which we respect our elders, whether it's the way in which we are a community, not individuals, where we believe in society, that whether it's the way in which we protect God's planet by making sure that we live in a way where we protect the environment, that all of these lessons are not lessons for Muslim communities, these are lessons for the whole of society. And that when we look at the answers to some of the biggest problems in the world today, we shouldn't be looking for answers that are good for Muslim communities. We should be looking for answers that are good for the world. And therefore, at the end of my book, the call that I make, if if I may say, appropriate a phrase for much better use, I say that Muslims have the potential to make Britain great again, and we need to play our part. Thank you. I will take questions. There is a...
Can I have the technicians on hand, please, to just pass the microphones around? I believe there's a... I'm just going to get this under control. So, Dr. Harun is first, then Razia Bhai is second, Dr. Shiraz is third. So 1, 2, 3. No, please. Dr. Harun first, please.
Assalamu alaikum. I just want to ask you, what inspired you to resign from Conservative Party, and you're a very senior Conservative Party member?
I'm not sure whether I'm going to make people happy or disappoint you, but I haven't resigned from the Conservative Party. So this has been some of the misinformation over the last few weeks. I have relinquished my whip in the House of Lords to deal with a specific matter within the party. But I haven't resigned from the Conservative Party. I'm a centre-right politician. I believe in a small state. I believe in a big society. I believe in a low-tax economy. I believe in the concept of entrepreneurship. I believe in the concept of family, individual liberties. I mean, fundamentally, I'm a Conservative. The problem we have in the United Kingdom, much like the problem that we have in the United States, is that the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom is no longer a Conservative Party. It is now turning into something that looks much more like the kind of AFD or Marine Le Pen's party in France. There's been a shift of the centre ground. So if you go back to, say, 2010, the Conservative Party, the cabinet that I served in, the people around the table were people like Ken Clarke or Dominic Grieve or William Hague, and these centre ground One Nation Conservatives are not the kind of party that we're now seeing. Just like in the Republican Party, Trump is not a classic Republican politician, and there's been this shift towards this far right extreme space. And in those circumstances, you have two choices. You can either say this party no longer reflects my views and my politics, and you can walk away, or you can do probably what, because of my Yorkshire roots, because of my Kashmiri origins, because of, I think I just like to fight. And I thought, I'm not prepared to just say this party is no longer a party for me. I'm going to fight to bring that party back to the centre ground, to be a serious, responsible, growing party of the centre-right that needs to start by being a loyal opposition, and then hopefully one day, once more, become a party of government.
What made you resign?
Dr. Sab, sorry, we have just one question. I'm so sorry. Second question here, Razia Bhai. And then third is Shiraz Sulamanba. And then it's our president, he has a question as well. Any other questions, please let us know. We'll deal with it.
You chose rather anger. Instead of anger, you chose writing. Did you find your goal in this? And what you are searching in writing?
I think if you talk to your kids, they talk about journaling these days, don't they? I'm journaling my feelings. I'm journaling my feelings, I think, when I'm writing. It gives an opportunity to take what's racing in my mind and it puts it onto paper. It allows me to, yes, it's a form of therapy. It allows me to talk through the things that I want to talk about. But I think it also means that we write our own stories. We start to draw a line in the sand. We come from very oral traditions, so there's a lot of storytelling in the communities that we come from, where people tell stories down the families. And we don't always write those stories down. And I feel that in a way, the only way we can genuinely tell our stories our way is if we write them down. And so I think it's an opportunity to, the book for me is 150 pages, right? I wrote my first book, it was 120,000 words. I thought everybody in the community was going to read it, and everybody was going to be informed on these issues. But I now look back and realise it was too long. I mean, it did incredibly well and it sold well, but it was too long. So this is 150 pages. It's 34,000 words. You can read it in about 3 hours. It's, you know, I was saying earlier, it's the cost of a pizza. And it's basically the opportunity for you to have all the information in one place to say, what are the problems? How did we get here? How do we get out of it? And what I'm urging people to do is to read it, but then to give it to people. Give it to your friends and family. Give it to your colleagues. Give it to not Muslim people, people you work with who are not Muslim. Give them the book and say, read that, and then start the conversation. For me, it's the start of a conversation. It's not an end in itself. To say, how do we pivot? Because the consequences of not changing are so stark in Europe and so stark in the US. I have friends and family who are making alternative plans. They're buying homes elsewhere in the world. They're talking about leaving. That cannot be. It cannot be that that's the way the British Muslim story ends in this country. And that's why we don't have the opportunity, as one of your speakers earlier said, we don't have the opportunity to hide anymore. We don't have the opportunity not to play our part anymore. We have to take a position. We have to be prepared to step out, to have the conversation, and to try and make things better.
Thank you. Shiraz Bhai.
Thank you, Baroness. You're such an amazing, inspirational woman, and we're so glad to have you here. And I think our daughters, our children, and Muslim girls all over will be so proud to see people like you in such high positions. I think for me, Islamophobia for me is a strategy to target Muslims and dehumanize us. Now the problem, you as an individual are fighting an individual battle. And I think what Muslims need is institutions and organizations where we can stand up together. And the other day, I just heard UK has 260 Muslim organizations. The important thing is, how do we get our, like the WMO, one of the reasons I like the WMO is that we all get our community together and have a strong position so we can get seats at the table. The reason we can't do what we can as individuals, that we can do as a group, is when we get a seat at the table. How can we get the 260 UK Muslim organizations under one banner? And I know Iqbal Sakrani has done an amazing job with that. But I think that's the fundamental, because the problem you're facing is the same problem politicians are facing in Canada and the US. The politicians are afraid to speak out. You've stood up, you've spoken out, but I can tell you, there are hundreds of other politicians in the US who are being targeted by the Muslim community because they're afraid to stand up and speak out. And the only reason they're afraid is because they will lose their position on the podium. Physicians in hospitals are losing their jobs. Nurses are losing their jobs because they went to the Gaza march or they spoke against Gaza. How do we get this 260 organizations in the UK and 1,000 in the US and 1,000 in Africa? Because everyone has an organization. How do we get us together? Because that is where we solve this problem.
I mean, that is such a wonderful question, right? And it's the question of the moment. And there are, and inside the book, I actually dedicate the book for every one of those people who feel silenced. And I say, I hope this book is a voice for you, because whilst I was writing this, exactly what you said, doctors saying they can't speak up, teachers saying they can't speak up, politicians feeling that, everybody feels like, certainly over the last 12 months, that they have somehow had to sanitize their Muslimness to remain in the public space. So I start really by acknowledging, look, I have privilege. I have the privilege of position. I have the privilege of platform. I spend a lot of time doing work in the mainstream media, so I have the privilege of being able to have my voice heard. I have the privilege of not being dependent on politics. I have the privilege of a really solid personal life and family. All of these are privileges, and I'm exercising that privilege by speaking out, and not everybody can do that. But the reason why Muslim organizations don't have a seat at the table is not just because some of these Muslim organisations maybe don't have the capacity or the ability to sit at the table, but because there has been a deliberate policy of disengaging large sections of the British Muslim community. It's called the disengagement of Muslims. Again, it's logged in the book in detail. It's been going on for about 14, 15, longer, 17 years, I would say now, that it's been going on for. And what effectively happens is they pick a single thing that somebody might have said, and then they say that person said this in 1908, and they're related to X, and they're related to Y, who sits on this board, and therefore that whole organisation is beyond the pale. So this has been a very deliberate strategy. The good news is this: the new government, it's not my party, but it's a new, and I think that on these issues you have to be completely above party politics. The new Labour government in this country is prepared to think about engaging. We have to have a proper panel of people who regularly meet with government, senior leaders, including the Prime Minister, to talk about these issues in an open environment. We need to have a definition of Islamophobia in the way that we have, for example, a definition of anti-Semitism, and every public sector organisation has to be held to account against that definition. We have a definition, it's called the APPG definition of Islamophobia, and what it basically says is that Islamophobia is a form of racism. It targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness, and again, that has to now be institutionalized. We have to have proper monitoring processes so that when people are subjected to Islamophobic abuse, anti-Muslim racism, the state knows the extent of that so that it can respond both through criminal justice mechanisms and community support mechanisms. All of this work is out there and is being done. It's just not being done in a coordinated fashion. I think the last year has made everybody sit up and wake up and realize that no longer can we work in silos, we have to work collaboratively. So I would say that if certainly the Memon community, either internationally or in the UK, if you are interested in investing in exactly what you're talking about, I'm happy to put together a group of people for you, serious players who will sit at the table with government and start to support this work being done. I don't think it was possible under the last government. I think we've gone far too far to the right to do it. I think there is a unique opportunity with the Labour government to try and get some of this right. So I'm happy to carry on the conversation if you're interested in taking it there.
Thank you. I know it's very difficult for people like us to have a seat at the table, and you had a seat on the table. You still have a seat on the table. Don't you think that these people who are far right want us not to be on the table? And by leaving the table, it's actually making them successful, making them win the battle, and making the community, people like us Muslims, lose the battle. What do you think about that?
I mean, such an important point. But I always say a seat at the table is not enough. A seat at the table without a voice is worth nothing. A seat at the table with a voice which isn't authentic is worth nothing. A seat at the table with a voice where you have to sanitize anything that you are is worth nothing. And so ultimately it's about where you can make a difference. And what I find now, and I talk about this in the book, that Muslims in positions of authority are sanitizing their Muslimness. So they're saying things like, oh, I'm not really practicing. It's not a part of my faith. I was born a Muslim, but it's not really who I am. And almost are being used as a way and are being weaponized to actually damage Muslims. So they will say, well, I can say these horrible things about Muslims because I am Muslim, even though you have no connection, no credibility within the communities that you're seeking to talk about or represent. So I think that we have to not just demand a seat at the table, we have to demand an authentic voice. There is no point. The reason I resigned in 2014 was because David Cameron and I, he wasn't just the Prime Minister, he was a friend. He still is a friend, actually. We still talk about these issues. But what I found was that, at the National Security Council, I raised these issues. At the Cabinet table, I raised these issues. At the Cabinet Committee, I raised these issues. Privately with David, I raised these issues. Personally, I called in my friendships to raise these issues. But when you've done all of that, and nothing changes. Well, why have I got my hands on the levers of power if when I'm pulling it, nothing is happening? Because, position means nothing without power. And sometimes you have to stand back and you have to understand what your power is. And I feel like there are different ways in which you exercise power. And now I would say that if you think about the conversations that I'm having now with some of the most senior people in policy making in government, I'm able to do that without position, but with power. So I think it's really important to understand how this works.
Just one more thing, one more question. In Pakistan especially, I am fighting for the young people to come down into politics. When I went to America, at the platform, I had the same conversation for younger Pakistanis, Indian Muslims, to come and participate in politics. Because in our Layman community, we say, oh, we don't want to stay in politics, we want to stay in other politics. I was supposed to go to politics myself, but I had such a huge family pressure that I had to move away, which I regret till now. So have we, like for example, I'll give an example of India, BJP. BJP has cultivated many politicians who are ready to become the Prime Minister. In Pakistan we don't have that. We have 3-party system, it was 2. Anywhere in the world, if you see, the Muslims are not participating in politics. When I ask the young people why aren't they doing it, because they say we don't have a training center. We don't have icons like you who sit with us, who train us or motivate us to become that person that you are right now. So are we doing something about this in this country?
The problem you have as a community is that you're too successful. And when you're too successful, you lose the fight. It's kids like me who come from tough homes who have the fire in their And one of the things I always say to the community is, look, don't rely upon the kids from tough homes to have the fire in their belly to fight. Make the kids whose bellies are full have the fight. Because this is the issue that we have. When I first came into politics, my mom said, what are you doing this for? Right? She said, I don't know how many of you understand Urdu, but she said to me, कोई भी बंदा है जो सियासत में गया है तो उसने अपनी इज्जत रख के वापस निकल आया है, right? It doesn't happen. कहाँ पे जा रही हो? अच्छी खासी business, you're running a business, you have respect. What are you sticking your head in this for? This is a dirty game. And yes, it is a dear and dirty game. There are times, my wonderful husband is here. We're both coming up to 55. Our wonderful children have all moved out and married, and we have wonderful grandkids as well now, alhamdulillah. And sometimes, and he's not a politician, he funds a politician. It's his job to keep me in a job. And basically, there are times when you wake up in the morning and you're thinking, why am I having this fight? Why am I not sat on an island? Why am I not sat on a beach in the Maldives? Why am I doing this at this age? Why should I keep getting up in the morning? And it is brutal. The personal attacks are brutal. But it's exhausting. But then you know what makes me still get up and fight? Is that at some point, we're going to be judged for what we had in this world and how we used it. Right? The question that I think, and my husband laughs about this, he said, I love the dialogue you have with God, I said, the dialogue is going to go something like this. So you were born the daughter of a poor man, yes I was, and your father didn't even have enough food, no he didn't, and you were born in a free country, yes I was, and you went to university, yes I did, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I did all of that, and I gave you intellect, and I gave you ability, and I gave you the ability to speak, and I gave you finance, and I gave you wealth, and I gave you love, and I gave you support. And you decided I gave you all of that so you could sit on a beach in the Maldives? What did you do with it? And I think that as long as I can say, I did my bit, right? I did my bit. And if not me, then who? And the question you should ask yourselves is, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? And I think if you can ask your questions those, then automatically I think your young should be inspired. And, you know, I and many more like me stand ready to support, mentor, don't make the mistakes that we made, and talk you through that.
Jazakallah Sayyida bhai. I'm just going to make a quick deal with everybody on this, yeah? Look, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I do know about you guys. I know we're all enjoying this. I know we're really, really enjoying this, yeah? Now, I can make a decision to bring this to a swift close because time is pressing. Our president has come in again with an option. Here we go.
So you have two options. Either we end this and you can all feed yourself, or we can skip lunch. So you choose. Raise of hands.
No, the deal, listen, we cannot skip lunch, we paid for it. Hang on. I think he's hungry actually. Yeah. Whatever, yeah, 1 minute up. So, you know the program continues after lunch. The AGM is now extended. So GLW, GYW forms part of the AGM, so please stay. And Sayyida Bhai and Iftikhar Bhai, I hope you will stay with us for a while. Inshallah. The proposal is that we, you know the GYW, GLW segments, you try and condense it as much as you guys can in view of this, so that we can enjoy more of this unique session with Sister Sayyida, inshallah. I hope you will agree with that. Let's see if we can make this work, yeah? Now, I'm going to take another 3-4 more questions. We had Altaba was first from my memory, then it was, no, just 1 minute. Let's give privilege to the audience because we are office bearers, we've had 2 office bearers already. Faisal Ba, then I have Ahmad Ba, Faizan, and Imran. And that's it. That's no more. I can't do any more after that, okay? That's it, finish. So, may I have a microphone, please, to Altaba first, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Sister Sayyida, when I met you, I came here and I Googled you and I found out. And then you mentioned in your speech that you have, at the age of 26, you have actually joined the parliament, right? Is that correct? And this is something I wanted to ask you is, I would like you to give some kind of a motivation or something, some ideas that our youth, who, most of them in Pakistan and India, most of them never even reach to that metric level or BCom or master's level, but whoever reaches there, after that, there isn't any, like Salman Bhai said, they're not eager to go further, they don't have that spark. So what motivates you, because you said that you came to Islamabad, I'm sure after 9/11 something did happen or some kind of a mindset that you did, came back and wanted to handle your life, and then you came back, which was a good decision because you wanted to pursue your life with a positive way. So can you please help our youth understand what went into your mind and what is that point after graduating or after that until 26, 27, what sparks you, what motivates you?
Thank you, Altaba. We're going to keep them quite short. We're going to run out of time otherwise. We literally got 10 minutes and we have to finish this. Yeah?
Should I take all questions and then try and condense them?
Yeah, okay. So let's do the other question. We had Altaba, we had Ahmad Ba, Faisal Ba, Farhan, no, and Imran. That's it. That's what I said. Yeah, short and sweet, but please.
Thank you very much, Sayyid. And WMO can take serious inspiration from your success in the lawyer, politicians, and in your struggle and your strength that you've shown to all of us today. So well done for that. I'm from South Africa, and as you know, with regards to the Middle East conflict, South Africans were the first to go to The Hague to challenge their position. And my question to you is very simple. In your book, do you take some reference to South Africa's stance on the matter? And do you use the word apartheid in your book, which is a South African word, Afrikaans word, and it's been well adopted by the world for this type of behavior. Thank you very much.
The question was from Fazulba.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Jew from South Africa, and is you aware that the South African team consisted, one of the leading advocates was Adila Hassan. She's from the Mammon community. And when she got up to present the case, the Jewish delegation that was sitting on the right, they all raised their eyebrows and wondering who this woman is. So as South Africans, we are proud of that. But the question I want to ask you, you're a great, formidable speaker, I must say. The thing I want to ask you is how, as Muslims, can we pass the message of peace to the Western media, especially in Europe and the Americas? Thank you.
Thank you. Farhan.
I just want to say thanks for being our voice in the UK and writing a book. My question is, what challenges did you have, while writing a book regarding the sensitive topics?
Thank you very much. Final question, Imran Bhai. That's it. That's not. I'm sorry, we have to call it a day because we'll have a problem otherwise. Time. We, inshallah, Saida Bhai has been signing books after the session is over, after lunch. So you'll have time to ask her questions, inshallah. And I hope that Saida Bhai, you'll be available, inshallah, to feed the hunger that has been developed from after listening to you. After the food and delicious food has been consumed, we'll have more capacity to engage with you. Imran Bhai.
Thank you, Bashman. Alhamdulillah, you got a very high position, and of course, being a Muslim, we need more Muslim leaders in our community, because we should lead some youth about we are leaders. So what do you think of how can we bring them in a politics? And we are running organization, this WMO, I'm from long time in this organization, but our youth is not taking interest. How can we convince them, how can we bring leadership qualities in them, because you already seen wrong experience, it's not just you enter, but you have a proper training behind it. Okay, is there any possibility we can do small clinics or something, and how can we convince them? Because we need more youth in politics. This is our future. Thank you.
Thank you. No more questions.
So I'm going to start with the South Africa issue and the Middle East issue. So in my first book, I talk a lot about the issue of the Middle East, what happened, how our policy was flawed, the hypocrisy of the positions that the UK and the US have adopted. And actually, when I wrote that book, it was before Human Rights Watch and others had presented the evidence that the crime of apartheid had now been committed in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem. So I think in that sense, do I talk about the Middle East issue in this book? No, I don't. But I talk about how when in this country and around the world, when pro-Palestinian marches were taking place, in this country, the Home Secretary at the time labeled those marchers, which were made up of Muslims and Christians and Jews and people of no faith and people from all sorts of backgrounds and communities came together in those pro-Palestinian marches and continue to do so. But she chose to label them as extremists and Islamists and anti-Semites, and the reason she did that was because the quickest way to dehumanize a people is to make them Muslim even when they are not Muslim. So that's because this particular book is about how Muslims have been demonized in the United Kingdom, and that's where I think the two interplay in the book, but not particularly in relation to that. I mean, when Adila Hassan got up, I mean, she's phenomenal, right? And it's a moment when not only is she a fabulous lawyer, not only is she a fabulous orator, but she also happens to be a Muslim woman. And and all the women in this room will know that the sisterhood is incredibly strong, and you take great pride in those moments. So you take pride in her as in a community. I think all Muslims take pride in her, women take pride in her, and of course anybody fighting for justice takes pride in her, and you're incredibly lucky to have her in your community. I think in terms of the two questions, what were the challenges whilst I was writing this book? Well, I have got terrible eyesight. I had laser eye surgery, which didn't work particularly well. So I was literally partially sighted when I was writing this book. So that was my first challenge. So my husband got me a screen this big with huge font, which allowed me to write. The second thing was, I suppose, to write a book, you have to write authentically. You have to write from the head, but you also have to write from the heart. And I think you have to combine those two things and then make sure that, as my wonderful brother Mehdi Hassan would say, bring the receipts, right? So the book makes a point, and then it gives all the examples and the evidence and the stats and the facts and the polling and all of that. So you're not just kind of shouting, you're kind of saying, let me prove it all. And I suppose the lawyer in me kind of makes the argument and then kind of proves it all. And I think that's the way in which you write a difficult book. You make sure that it's actually not just a polemic, that actually it's underpinned by really solid evidence. How do you inspire and what motivates you kind of post 9/11? Look, you think that your youth are not interested. They probably are. I would say to you that leadership will be found in the most unusual of places. You would have assumed that the first Muslim to serve in the British cabinet would have come from a super wealthy, private educated, possibly born and raised in London person who didn't come from a particularly religious family, right? That would have been what we would have thought. They would not have picked somebody like me who grew up in a tiny little town with a very conservative community around me, the daughter of a poor man, and somebody who went to comprehensive schools, many of whom have closed down after she left. Right, so that was my education and my background. So leadership can be found in the most unusual of places. But I want to end really on this because it's something, I come from a family of 5 girls. My mum is one of 7. And I'm incredibly blessed to have 3 granddaughters, and we're going to create a warrior. We're going to create a tribe of female warriors, inshallah. But the women need you to stand, the men to stand not at the side of them, but also behind them. They need. I do what I do because my father said, you go for it. I do what I do because my wonderful husband, who's not by the way political nor conservative, he makes sure that when I get in the car, there's a bottle of water, that he's bought a coffee, I've properly hydrated, I've eaten. He takes my bag off me as I walk in because we were having photographs. As I sat down, he poured me a glass of water. He asked me if I had my notes. He makes sure that my iPhone is charged. He makes sure that my iPad is charged. He makes sure that I've thought through the lines that I'm going to take. He makes sure, that the kids are looked after, that the family events, that I'm actually not, kind of penalised for not being at the places that I need to be sometimes when I can't turn up to family events. And he does that, not because he's a conservative, he's a Liberal Democrat. He does that. He does that because he says that the best person should be doing the job. And you are the best person to do the job. The rest of us just need to give you the support. So I would say to you that some of the most inspirational people that I'm working with at the moment are women. Some of the bravest people that I'm working with are women. Look across at the Republicans, look at the US, look at the outspoken Muslims, they are women. Look at the way they fight. Look at the way they have been taught to fight. We have had a long time fighting by the time we come to politics. We are seasoned fighters by the time we come to politics, and that's why we fight so well. And because ultimately, what I find time and time again is women don't care about what they're doing, they care about why they're doing it, and that motivates them. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. It's been wonderful having you here today with us already. I know that women are professional fighters. I've got good experience at that. Yeah, so that's but I think also if you come by what you've done, I'm gonna have a chat with you outside because you set the bar so high for all of us. But this is how it's done. this is how it's done. And I take the hat off to you, brother. I'm doing that. It's great.
Sorry? In Maimans, we all believe the same thing now, that women are fighters. Men have too much to think about. Women think from the heart. And they are strong. They're stronger. They give birth to all of us. They have to have a stronger capacity than any men in this world. Thank you so much, parents, for being a part of us. And with your inspirational words and your motivated words, I hope, inshallah, especially from the girls in the UK, would now try to join politics and change what the feelings of Muslim is, or at least fight for that. And I would request all Maimans, all Muslims around the world, we have people from South Africa, America, India, Pakistan, everywhere, we should all fight for the reason what she's fighting for. Thank you so much.
Just to add to what Saban has just said, I know I've also got 5 daughters, mashallah, alhamdulillah, and they're also in law, 2 of them, one's a teacher. But some of the things you said today, I know they're going to be sitting at the back saying, Dad tells us this, yes, Dad tells us this, yes, Dad tells us this, and I know they're sitting in the back there, inshallah, and then I'm sure they'll speak to you a little later on. And I think we can all resonate with and relate to what Saida Bhai has been talking about today. We've all enjoyed it. Guys, we're going to be quickly having a session of up to 15 minutes, not more than that, with the Middle East chapters presentation. Then we're going straight for namaz and lunch. Yeah? And Saida Bhai, during that period, you're welcome to obviously use that time to sign books and whatever. You can do that now if you wish. That's absolutely fine, inshallah. So, Middle East chapter, let's have you on, boys, and let's get going. Kamraba, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
President, 10% audience चली गई. अस्सलाम वालेकुम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. आवाज आ रही है पीछे? आ रही है तो बैठ जाए प्लीज. अच्छा जी, प्रेसिडेंट साहब रेडी नहीं है हमारे लिए. विद योर परमिशन. First of all, thank you very much for giving us a chance to present what we are doing. Thank you, President, for trusting us, trusting our team, Bashir Bhai, Board of Trustee Chairman, and all the office bearers. Let me introduce my team. I have a good team here.
I consider Anil Bhai as my team and as our office here. Ghulam Bhai, Afzal Bhai, Kuram Kali Bhai, mashallah, you know, always Rangila Bhai. Yeah. And Altaf Bhai and all others. I'm not going to take all the name and not making report. First of all, we are the Middle East chapter, and we are basically the main focus. Our main focus is to collect donations and distribute to India chapter, Pakistan chapter, or wherever is required. Still, we are doing some other things which we can do it in Middle East chapter. Before I proceed, I want to invite Imran Naskatia Bhai. If you can please come at stage. Imran Naskatia Bhai is from MASA, Mehman Association of Saudi Arabia, and now he is our life member. He joined us in WMO yesterday as a life member, and now we are penetrating to Middle East because that's the vision given by Salman Bhai, and he is always asking me, Dubai ki baat kya? So now we are inshallah we'll go to Saudi Arabia. Now in November 15 they have a big plan of something they are doing in November, and they invited WMO to come there. We'll see if some of you are available, then please visit with us. We are planning to go there and do some road show, introduce WMO and bring some membership from Saudi Arabia. So this is the achievement which we have done since start. WMO was not in Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Vijay. Secondly, related to this membership, since we came in 2024, we started, we have made 121 members, and out of this 121 members, 5 are patron members. I'm actually for Middle East, but sorry to other chapters, but I will speak something for WMO also. That membership is the thing which I personally want always with the vision of our office bearers, that we need to increase this membership. We need to make more and more members. Only USA chapter has came up with good membership numbers, but India chapter, Pakistan chapter, South Africa chapter also I saw few memberships done recently. But we need to make more and more paid members because money is everything. We are always discussing funds nahi hai, ye nahi hai, problem hai. Patron money, now office bearers allow us to keep the patron money with chapters, and we can use this money for different allowed things. So I request all the chapters as a WMO member, as a patron member of WMO, not as Middle East, that please work on membership, bring more and more members. The more members we have, more donations we can collect. If we have more people in our circle, then it will be much easier to collect donations. It will be much easier to spread our word. So, no. Yesterday I ran away, I smelled the thing, and I ran away in the middle.
We are not sitting now. Because you put us on the spot, now we're putting you on the spot.
I proposed you to be on the investment board. And the reason why I did that, not only because of, mashallah, your commercial talent, but also with the intention of telling you today to be a trustee.
Okay, done. In respect of you guys, you said I cannot say no. With permission of my wife, sir, allowed. बोले कि $1,00,000 क्या हो गया? Okay, so fine, but I need one more trustee with me. So put somebody else on the spot for WMO. Target one more before the AGM ends. Okay, I'm done in respect. So I need one more trustee. So I'll be happy that WMO is getting more. You are the target. Okay. So for the membership, I spoke about the membership, and we have done something for the membership, and I expect more and more members to come. Dr. Shiraz is looking at me. Dr. Shiraz from Canada, we got some trustees. Thank you very much. We need some more. Now for what we have done, I'll just do a fast slideshow. Education assistance we have done for Pakistan. It is just $130, which per person we are doing. One person $130. Now Hanif Isabba and they said that we remove this Jamaat thing and we should pay 100%. I think President allowed already. So now just do it. We are with you, inshallah. We will support whatever we can do. And I request all the members, when we are saying education, it is just $250 per person for the whole year. For the whole year, $250. $250 आप दोगे, एक बच्चा पढ़ लेगा अच्छे से और बच्चों को गोद ले लें. आज हम यहाँ स्टेज पे खड़े हैं, कल हम नहीं हैं. आप बच्चे लें, बच्चों की डिटेल्स ले लें, फिर वो बच्चा आपकी जिम्मेदारी बन जाए. हम लोगों ने अभी डोनेशंस जो लिए हमने यही किया है. हमने एक एक बच्चे की पूरी डिटेल ली है. जो डोनर्स हैं उन डोनर्स को हम बता रहे हैं कि आपके पैसे है, इससे ये 100 बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं. ये बच्चों की डिटेल ये उनकी लिस्ट है. अब ये बच्चे आपकी जिम्मेदारी है, ताकि कल अगर हम नहीं भी मांग रहे डोनेशन तो बच्चों से डायरेक्टली कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं. WMO के थ्रू करें तो अच्छा है, नहीं भी करें तो कम से कम जो टारगेट है बच्चों को पढ़ने का वो बच्चे पढ़. तो इट्स जस्ट $250. मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा सारी ऑडियंस से, दोबारा मैं स्पॉट पे नहीं लूंगा. मैं स्पॉट पे लेता हूँ, मैं फंस जाता हूँ. तो प्लीज आप लोग नियत कर लें, कुछ पैसे पाकिस्तान चैप्टर, इंडिया चैप्टर, मिडिल ईस्ट के थ्रू ना दें, डायरेक्ट दें. लेकिन एजुकेशन में लोग बहुत काम कर रहे हैं, इनको सपोर्ट की जरूरत है. और बच्चे पढ़ लेंगे, आज बच्चे पढ़ेंगे तो कल ये यहीं आप लोगों की जगह पे बैठे होंगे और एजुकेटेड कौम होगी हमारी. तो प्लीज इस पे सपोर्ट करें. एजुकेशन हम ये कर रहे हैं. इसके अलावा इंडिया को भी हमने एजुकेशन में काफ़ी कोशिश करी करने की. हम बहुत कुछ तो नहीं कर सके, लेकिन हमें और भी करना है और हम इंशाल्लाह करते रहेंगे. सर आते हैं. हेल्थ कार्ड इनिशिएटिव था पाकिस्तान चैप्टर का, वेरी गुड इनिशिएटिव. इन्होंने काफ़ी बोल दिया है, इसमें नहीं बोलेंगे ज़्यादा. लेकिन $18 पर पर्सन, 15 से $18 पर पर्सन एंड फैमिली गेट सिक्योर्ड. 30-30 हज़ार रुपये सैलरी है. दवाई लेने नहीं जा सकते हैं, लोग मर जाते हैं, दवाई नहीं लेते हैं, बीमार होते हैं, घर पे रहते हैं. हम मेहमान से हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, कहीं ना कहीं हर मेहमान आपका कोई ना कोई रिश्तेदार होता होगा. $18 पर पर्सन, जितने लोग बैठे हैं कम से कम 100 आदमी की नियत भी कर लेंगे तो काफ़ी हो जाएगा. यहाँ से जाने से पहले लिखवा कर जाएं पाकिस्तान चैप्टर को कि ये हमने जो है ना इतने हमने कमिट कर लिए, ताकि आज बैठे हो जाएगा, कल सब भूल जाएंगे, अपने अपने काम में लग जाएंगे. तो प्लीज़ थोड़ा ध्यान दीजिएगा. हम लोग क्योंकि मिडिल ईस्ट में हमें कुछ मिडिल ईस्ट में भी करना है. मिडिल ईस्ट चैप्टर रजिस्टर्ड है हमारा ह्यूमैनिटेरियन में, तो हमें वहाँ पे भी कुछ करना है. तो हमने प्रिजनर्स रिलीज का एक शुरू किया, क्योंकि ज़कात का एक बहुत अच्छा जो है मनसब जो है जो इस्तेमाल करना है वो प्रिजनर्स को रिलीज कराना है, ये हमारे दीन में. तो हमने इसको काफ़ी अच्छा समझा, तो हमने शुरू किया कि प्रिजनर्स को रिलीज कराएं. एवरेज $125-150 आती है. हम बेसिकली जिनकी टिकट्स का प्रॉब्लम होता है, तो जेल में बैठे सिर्फ वापसी की टिकट नहीं मिल रही. पाकिस्तानी, इंडियन जो भी लोग हैं जो वापसी की टिकट के लिए जेल के अंदर बैठे हैं, सिर्फ टिकट के पैसे नहीं है. तो अभी हमने यहाँ से स्टार्ट किया, हम टिकट दे रहे हैं. हमने वहाँ लोकल जेलर्स को भी अप्रोच किया है, पाकिस्तान कॉन्सुलेट को भी अप्रोच किया है, इंडियन कॉन्सुलेट को भी लेटर लिखा है. जो जेलर है अवीर का, उससे हमारी मेरी और अनिल भाई की कॉन्फ्रेंस में हमने बात की है, उन्होंने काफ़ी लिस्टें दी. तो अब हम उस पर काम कर रहे हैं. हमारे पास फंड्स हैं अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह के. हम इसको ख़त्म करने के बाद आपके पास वापस आएंगे, लेकिन अभी हैं हमारे पास. तो हम फिनिश कर रहे हैं कि हम इसको फिनिश करें इंशाल्लाह. रोज़गार स्कीम, रोज़गार स्कीम जो लास्ट मैनेजमेंट कमेटी के पेपर्स में लिखा हुआ था कि लास्ट मीटिंग में मैंने कहा था कि रोज़गार स्कीम पे कुछ काम करेंगे, और हमने इस पर कुछ काम की कोशिश भी करी. मैं चाहूँगा इस पर डायरेक्ट रोज़गार स्कीम पर. तो रोज़गार स्कीम पर हम लोगों ने काफ़ी काम किया. हम लोगों ने पहले WMO की थ्रू बाइक्स वगैरह भी दी थी. हमने APMF के थ्रू लास्ट ईयर काफ़ी काम किया था. तो इस साल हमने कहा कुछ हम डिफरेंट करें, खाली बाइक्स पर ना दें. जो बाइक्स चलाते हैं 50,000 रुपये 40,000 रुपये कमाते हैं. तो हम लोगों ने स्टॉल लगाने के लिए पायलट प्रोग्राम किया. हमने बाकायदा जो आदमी हमसे ज़कात लेता था उसको अप्रोच किया. उसको हमने कहा भाई आप अगर हम आपको स्टॉल लगा के दें तो आप स्टॉल लगाओगे? बोला हाँ मैं लगाऊंगा, कबाब रोल मेरी एक्सपर्टीज में बना सकता हूँ. तो हमने पूरा वहाँ जाके बाइंग करी, पूरा सामान खरीदा, एक टीम हमने बनाई, उसने जाके सब चीज़ें खरीदी, चीज़ें खरीद के उसको दी. इसके बाद उसका स्टॉल लगवाया. स्टॉल लगा के उसको स्टॉल रनिंग में है. अब स्टॉल रनिंग में है और रोज़ की तकरीबन 2,500-3,000 की सेल कर रहे हैं. हम उसको फॉलो कर रहे हैं. कराची इन्वेस्टमेंट की शीट में आपको लगा तो बहुत ही कम पैसों में ही काम हो जाता है। और अगर आप शॉक हो जाएंगे कि ये और ऐसे दूसरे कितने भी काम जो है वो ये पूरी शीट है। अगर आप कबाब पराठों का एक शॉर्ट कॉपी मैंने से लो फट रहा है, अगर कबाब पराठे का एक स्टॉल आप लगा लेते हो जिसमें सारे पुलिस भत्ता जगह स्टॉल एवरीथिंग सब इंक्लूड कर दो तो 1100 दिरहम मतलब $300। $300 में एक आदमी रोजगार पे चढ़ जाता है। ज़कात लेना बंद कर दी उस बंदे ने, कह रहा मैं सही चल रहा है। $300 आप दोगे, एक आदमी जो है वो काम पे लग जाएगा। बहुत ही कम रकम है। यहाँ जो लोग बैठे हैं माशाल्लाह सब लंदन तक आए। $300 क्या है? कुछ नहीं है आप लोगों के लिए। कमिट कर दीजिएगा। आज याद है, कल मैं भी भूल जाऊंगा, आप लोग भी भूल जाएंगे, सब बिजी हैं, सब अपने अपने काम में लगे हैं। तो कमिट कर लीजिएगा कितने लोग आप रोजगार पर चलाना चाहते हैं। अगर कबाब पराठे का रोल है तो $300 है, फ्रेंच फ्राइज का स्टॉल है तो और कम पैसे हैं, मोटरसाइकिल है तो उसके अलग पैसे हैं। पाकिस्तान इंडिया हमारे मेहमान भरे हुए हैं, बेरोजगार हैं।
Ashok, we have $12,000 रोजगार स्कीम ना पाकिस्तान में बोले $12 आप यही कमिटेड, ठीक है,
ये हमारा पूरा रेडी। मैं आपको बताता हूँ कहाँ से क्या सामान किस तरह ले रहे हैं।
यही चीज है कि मानो की रोजी शुरू थी सके थी with such a simple setup and a very effective setup। तो प्रेसिडेंट आके चाहिए जो कि पंजाब भाई सब यहाँ ही तो बात है कि we should pursue it।
अशरफा we should $2 लाख सर, ये तो 2 महीने में खत्म करके फिर 2 लाख और जमा करते हैं। मेरी रिक्वेस्ट एक और भी है चैप्टर से, ये ज़कात के पैसे हमको रखना अलाउड नहीं है शरीयत। हम बात करते हैं कि हम ज़कात के नहीं, चलो अच्छा वैसे आप ज़कात के पैसे इस पे लगा सकते हैं कि नहीं? ये
Ibaba, can we use zakat money for this type of thing?
I think ownership transfer करने पे हम कर सकते हैं।
Ownership, then you have to give it to them now।
Yeah,
you give them the equipment।
yes, it's everything you give it to him, everything is
give equipment, it's okay।
yes, and we are doing it with the people who are taking zakat। आपके पास लिस्ट बनी हुई जो ज़कात आपसे ले रहे हैं, आप 5,000 रुपये महीना दे रहे हो, उन्हीं लोगों का आप लगा दो। अच्छा लेडीज भी कर रही हैं, हमारे पास 5-6 लेडीज आ गई हैं जो मेमन लेडीज हैं, उन्होंने कहा हमें लगा के दें और हम ये करेंगे। तो हम उनके साथ स्टार्ट करें, मैं उनकी भी टेस्टिमोनियल्स लगा दूंगा, 1 आध महीने में आ जाएंगे।
This is what Nosad Ba was saying yesterday. I think he's not here yet. No, he left. So we have $12,000। अगर पार ये लगाई दीजिए कि खत्म नहीं होगा, कि ना खत्म नहीं होगा, then we will have to go back asking for money. If that $200,000 जैसे पार अगर $20,000 रखेंगे to promote and market, so we spend $180 for Rozgar scheme, $20,000 we spend for marketing to other not Memons, Muslims around the world, and this is what we are doing. Donate for us. You can raise more than $200,000 with that kind of $20,000.
Easy.
So that's what we need to do. That's what because of Diana's Varsi, we couldn't speak about that topic. जो हमारी कल रात को बात हुई थी, you need to put 5 to 10% of that amount you raise zakat के अलावा, कि ना you raise that money and you put that 10%, 5% in promoting as seed capital. So you can get double or triple the amount of money from other territories. But you know, the moment कामरान ने लगाया स्क्रीन के ऊपर, ये चीज 2 साल पहले हम लॉन्च कर चुके थे, हमने पैसे रेज कर लिए थे, बट सब भूल गए, एक को भी याद नहीं, सब वाह 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 कह रहे हैं, ठीक है ना। अब इसने वापस याद दिलाया एजीएम के अंदर, ये से कह रहे हैं। कल एजीएम के बाद जब लेक्चर जाएंगे इसके बाद किसी को याद ही नहीं होगा रोजगार स्कीम है कहाँ, वो बेचारा अनाथ की तरह फैला होगा और ये बेचारा पैसे मांग रहा होगा, ठीक है ना। सो टू कीप दिस अलाइव, रोजगार स्कीम, health card, education, all these 3 schemes that we have, family upliftment, 4th scheme, ये सारी स्कीमें को हमको कीप ऑन प्रमोट करना पड़ेगा। तो फिर अल्ताफ गोरल ने कहा कि हम एक बड़ी इवेंट करते हैं पाकिस्तान यूएस में फॉर चैरिटी, देन वी कैन शो दीज 4 things। अभी 82,000 रुपये का क्या क्या बोला भाई तो कुछ भी नहीं, ये पहले को बोलिए भाई बोर से हली क्यों है, मैं कोई पूछता नहीं बारे में। तो जस्ट टू रिमाइंड, आप इमेजिन करो जो हमारे अंदर है WMO के अंदर जो MC मेंबर है उनको याद नहीं है, आपको लगता है कि जो बाहर कौन बैठी हुई है को याद रहेगा? तो you have to keep on reminding them this is what we're doing. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we should pass some changes today, some laws today, that in every contribution we make, we keep 10% to promote to get more contribution. Of course, except zakat.
फर्दर टू दिस सलमान, मैंने जो बात करी, मैं एक रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा ऑफिस बेरर से, प्लीज इसको पार्ट ऑफ एजेंडा बनाए नेक्स्ट एजीएम का, कि जो अगेंस्ट है इंडिया चैप्टर, पाकिस्तान चैप्टर शायद अगेंस्ट है, शुरू में मैं भी अगेंस्ट था कि हम ज़कात के पैसे यूज ना करें अपने एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में, लेकिन आप मार्केटिंग नहीं करोगे, आप एक टीम नहीं बनाओगे जो इनको फॉलो करें, जिनको हम ये ज़कात के पैसे देंगे उनको फॉलो करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। गरीब होते हैं, ये सामान बेच देंगे, हमको उनको फॉलो करना है कि वो सामान ना बेचें, वो सामान पर रोजगार पर चढ़े, कम से कम 6 महीने 8 महीने उनको कोई टीम फॉलो करेगी तो वो रोजगार पर चढ़ जाएंगे, आपका काम शुरू हो जाएगा, जो आपका मकसद पूरा हो जाएगा। इस टीम के लिए पैसे चाहिए, तो थोड़ा सा आप लोग अपना दिल खोले, हमने थोड़ा सा मॉडर्न तरीकों पे जाना होगा, अगर फतवा अलाउ करते हैं तो व्हाई नॉट, थोड़े से पैसे 30% ना लें, 12 ना लें, 10 ले लें, 5 ले लें, 6 ले लें, कुछ पैसे होंगे। तो नाउ वी हैव CEO, you need to spend money, right? So where do you spend? How do you?
Balba, you recited the Quran ki ayat yesterday regarding, was it you or somebody else?
This is for the kingdom. That ayat is only for the kingdom.
ऐसा बात को ना मौली बनी रही है, हाँ भाई मैं बस ना बंदा शुक्र है मैं दीनदारी निभा रहा है, कुछ नहीं बस अगर मना करना तो अगर लगे तो हम करें पिनोस, ये पॉसिबल है ना, सिंपल।
Okay, so now for the Rozgar scheme I have spoken I think too much. Please कमिट कर लें कोई ना कोई फंड्स, मकसद है सारी बात का कि फंड्स कमिट कर लें अपने जहन में, पाकिस्तान चैप्टर, इंडिया चैप्टर इनको बता दें तो ये रोजगार पर चढ़ाएं। पाकिस्तान चैप्टर प्लीज, आपसे एक शिकायत हो गई मेरी, ये $2 लाख हम ऑफ द लाइन बात करते हैं, $2 लाख आपने रख क्यों बैठे हैं, हम बात करते हैं। सेकेंडली ये तो हो गई, इसके बाद पालघर हॉस्पिटल हम 5 साल से सुन रहे हैं कि पालघर हॉस्पिटल नहीं बन रहा। अभी मैंने एसआर भाई को पूछा है, इन्होंने बताया 5 करोड़ इंडियन रुपीस बैलेंस है, राइट? और 5 करोड़ इंडियन रुपीस में आप पालघर हॉस्पिटल को बना भी लोगे, थोड़ी सी मशीनें डालकर उसको चला भी लोगे, तो नेक्स्ट एजीएम में पालघर हॉस्पिटल चलता हुआ हमें यहाँ दिखाओगे वीडियो पे, और उसके बोर्ड पे WMO लिखा होगा। 2.5 करोड़ हम कमिट करते हैं, 2.5 करोड़ ये हाउस कमिट करें प्लीज। मैं बोलता हूँ 2.5 करोड़ हम देंगे, 2.5 करोड़ पे 2.5 करोड़ ये हाउस कमिट करें, ये इंडिया का चैप्टर खत्म कर दीजिए, 5 साल से चल रहा है। प्लीज तालियां नहीं बजाएं, पैसे कमिट कर लें, पैसे कमिट प्रेसिडेंट साहब प्लीज अलाउ करें। अगर 10 मिनट लगेंगे ये 2.5 करोड़ पे जमा हो जाएंगे। 2.5 करोड़ मींस 1 मिलियन दिरहम, 1 मिलियन दिरहम मींस $3 लाख। अगर सारे कमिट कर लें, आधे हम कमिट कर रहे हैं ना, आधे की जिम्मेदारी हमारी है, मिडिल ईस्ट चैप्टर देगा, हम जहां से मिला कर दें, हमारी जिम्मेदारी है। अब आप आधे कमिट कर लें, इनका ये चैप्टर बंद हो जाए, पालघर हॉस्पिटल हम यहाँ पे चलते हुए देखें। अमेरिका चैप्टर थोड़ा सा आप कमिट कर लो, अपने डोनर से लेके देना, अनीस भाई आप अपने डोनर से लेके दीजिएगा। कहाँ है अनीस भाई? पूरे मैंने तो बोल दिया 1 मिलियन दिरहम,
एक काम करते हैं, 2 मिलियन दिरहम है ना, because Middle East chapter is the most indulged chapter.
अमीर नहीं है, गरीब चैप्टर।
अमीर नहीं, आप लोग का एडवांटेज है कि पाकिस्तानी भी मिडिल ईस्ट चैप्टर में है और इंडियन भी है, साउथ अफ्रीकन भी है, सब आप लोग के पास फायदा ही है, तो ज़्यादा शो नहीं वाली जरूरत है ना। आप लोग अमेरिका ज़्यादा, क्योंकि अभी अमेरिकन भी आ रहे हैं, वो भी आ गए हैं अपना उसके अंदर अपना
अमेरिकन, आप अमेरिकन चैप्टर
what I suggest is Middle East chapter has committed 1 million. You got other chapters रह गए हैं, which is
South Africa
8 chapters. So the 3-4 big chapters, which is Africa, the UK, the US, and Far East. The Char chapter should at least contribute or collect from their donors $50,000 to $60 each. $300. ये चार में 3 divide कर दे और commit कर दे. The presidents please get up and commit that you will collect that amount and give it to.
आप लोगों की commitment पे हमारी commitment है.
ठीक है ना?
Please.
This is how we going to collect. Million dirhams. Literally, it's like it's $270,000. $270,000. ठीक है?
President is asking each chapter to please come.
Anis ba, I'm not asking you to give me. Ahmad is not here. Ahmad ba? Okay, so US chapter is confirmed. Ahmad ba? Confirmed. Yeah, whatever details you want, SMI is here. You just need 1 million dirham divided by 4. That's $250,000 dirhams. We need $250,000 dirhams from your chapter. I don't know how much land it is. I want $250,000 from the UK chapter, the $250,000 from the US chapter, and the $250,000 dirhams from Far East chapter.
We already given,
So have I also.
Sri Lanka sir, we also given. We already given too. We need to finish this.
This is zakat. This is for zakat and
5 years. 5 years this project cannot complete. Yes. Ji.
If the money comes before December, January you will have the opening.
बोर्ड पे WMO लिखा होना चाहिए. MMI hospital.
It is supported by WMO.
No, it should be there.
जो
जो दिखता है वो बिकता है सर. हमको MMI का दूसरा वर्जन इंडिया में चाहिए.
Guaranteed.
Can somebody give a mic, please?
Salman, what is happening is well and good, but the protocol or previously, at previous EGMs, was the management committee would have a budget for the following year, which would include all the projects that are happening in India, Pakistan, wherever else. And then they would delegate proportions to each chapter to say, right, your target for zakat is $500,000 in your chapter, which you're going to present by the next AGM. I just wanted to ask, has that been done? Have the budgets been done? Right? And have the allocations been given? Rather than to give a specific project, right, to a chapter.
The problem right now is except the Middle East, the UK and the American chapter, all the countries are in financial trouble. So they're not allowing their zakats or any funds to be transferred outside the country. So what we did before cannot be done now, as the economic situation in many countries are very different. Before, Pakistan used to send money to the UK, it was allowed. Sri Lanka used to send money, it was allowed, charity. India was allowed. Now what they do is they collect money locally and they spend it locally. But yes, America, Middle East and the UK and Singapore, these are countries which are allowed to send charities outside to specific countries. So that's the problem. I said we can't budget. We can't budget to raise the money. That's the only problem. Because the two big territories which raise money are Pakistan or India.
You see, within the reports, right, that the chapters did, they would present a budget to say, we propose to do this, that and the other, and the cost is $5 million. Now, that would go within the total budget, and then the chapters would be allocated their proportion of contributions that they would.
Yeah, I understand totally. But the problem is the Parker was done and signed off when you were the deputy president.
5 years.
And Solibai was the president.
No, absolutely.
And it was in the budget. It was in the budget for 2021. And then some people came together and said Parker is not feasible. We should put it in the back burner. Now we have just found out that we just need 2 million dirhams. And out of which $1 million dirhams already been.
That's fine.
So that's why we're taking advantage of this forum to raise the $1 million dirhams and close the chapter. Of course, everything is budgeted anyways.
Mashallah,
I agree with you. If we did this, and also some of us also, we want to finish this one off now, because it's been going on for too long. But if we can do this, we have an assessment on our budgets for the next year. We put down the projects, we put a figure against them as to what we need for those budgets, and we divide it amongst the chapters. You know that.
Since 5 years, they are every AGM.
No. It's coming sort out now. We want to close this. Alter is sorting out now.
Please,
but
we want to come up with something.
No, please. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Alter is sorted now. It's done. The deal's done. I'm saying what Noshaba is saying. I agree with that. I'll discuss it with our president offline, and we'll get this done. I think that's the right way of approaching it. Yeah, but we'll discuss it. We'll try and sort that out.
So now let's finish it, inshallah, alhamdulillah, chapter. I think so. Only US chapter has confirmed. Right?
No, South Africa is most clear.
South Africa.
USA.
Europe chapter. Are you confirming? Europe chapter. Shehzad Bab. We need to raise Algar Hospital 250,000 dirhams. Divide 250,000 dirhams by 4.5. What is it?
50,000 pounds.
We're committing that, okay? I'm asking you, are you committing that? You're committing that. Okay, so Europe chapter is on board. America is on board. Africa is on board. Africa is on board. 50,000 pounds, ba? 50 grand.
The project is, I just want to get more detail of the project.
We'll get you the detail. 50 grand, you're okay for that?
More importantly,
50,000 dirhams.
More importantly, yesterday we did a collection drive. I'm confused. Was it for the same project or was it?
No, that's education.
No.
Different.
So I'm inclined to agree with Nosat, but I think we're all over the show a little bit because I'm going to confuse myself.
No, what we'll do, that's a 2025 budget idea, which was our previous method of doing things. We'll have a discussion amongst office bearers to deal with that, as Noshaba suggested, to re-implement that old system. We'll have a look at that. I happen to agree with it, but I will obviously refer to the office bearers to consider that. What I'm saying here, we want to finish off Palgar Hospital, we will finish that, it's been going too long. So, some of us said, let's have the chapters agree to 250,000 dirhams each, which is roughly around about 25. Yeah, 250,000 dirhams each.
Okay, so just to clarify, if you want an answer right now, I just need to understand what was the collection for yesterday.
That was for education.
Where is that going to now?
That's going to be.
Can we take this offline and just have a discussion?
That's the education within Pakistan. Yeah. We'll include that figure in next year's budgets. We'll include that. We'll tie it up. No problem. We'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So we will have a quick chat on it and work on how we're going to budget the entire thing. Because I need to understand the entire budget that our chapter needs to collect. A lot of South Africans pledged yesterday as well. So I should not put that into the pot.
But Shiriba, if the chapter's president, if sit down with you and later on we can offline discuss on that project.
Take your time. That's fair enough. Take your time. If all chapters are committing, our Middle East commitment is standing. So you take your time. It's fine.
Okay, now we move on.
Yeah. Now.
If other chapters, हमेशा इधर काल की नहीं, अभी अगले chapter या वो chapter लाए, the matter will be again standing. Next year each पाची घाल करना होना सी. आइन जो commitment करिया यो, जो chapter जो डीनो वो डीडी है, बाकी जो आप करेंगे तो इंशाल्लाह. This hospital will stand.
Done.
Okay, $100,000 to my family.
Move on.
Okay.
But I know commitment final है.
We made a note.
And the US commitment is final. वो commitment is confirmed and UK. इतना commitment अगर मुझे December पहला
US, the UAE commitment is final. We'll work towards committee. We have to talk to the rest of the chapters.
काका achieving.
We'll have to
Now काका achieving.
It is started the organization.
It is never happens. I know it is internet. काका achieving confirm करी दियो. तो आएंगे जो तो ना बाकी जो ऐसा adjust करेंगे ना.
Okay.
It is done. Middle East, US.
I have something to with permission of Salman ideo मुझे body पहला जाओ. How this came to my mind is जब हम यहाँ आते हैं तो लोगों से मिलते हैं कौन क्या है क्या कर रहा है. मेरा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त फुरकान आया तो मैंने इसको 2-4 लोगों से इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया. तो मैंने कहा भाई लोगों को पता क्यों नहीं है WMO में कौन कौन है, एक प्रॉपर डायरेक्टरी नहीं है हमारे पास। तो मेरी सलमान भाई से बात हुई, बहुत ही शॉर्ट में बात हुई, रात को ही मैंने बनवाने के लिए दिया। ये एक डायरेक्टरी का आइडिया है जो मिडिल ईस्ट में हम बनाएंगे, इसको पायलट प्रोजेक्ट करेंगे और फिर अगर ऑफिस ब्यूरोज अलाउ करेंगे तो आप इसको इंटरनेशनल ले जा सकते हो। ये डायरेक्टरी ऑलमोस्ट रेडी कर दी है बंदे ने 2 दिन के अंदर। इस तरह की एक डायरेक्टरी बनेगी, उसमें सारे मेंबर्स खुद जाएंगे, साइन इन करेंगे। आप जिस तरह फेसबुक पे जाते हो अपना अकाउंट क्रिएट करोगे, यूजर नेम पासवर्ड डालोगे, आपको OTP आएगा, आप उस पर अपनी पिक्चर डालोगे, अपने बिजनेस की डिटेल डालोगे, फैमिली की डिटेल आपने डालनी है तो डालोगे, ताकि लोगों को आपकी फैमिली, आपके बच्चे, कल आपने मैट्रिमोनियल शादियां करनी है, बच्चों को मिलाना है, वो भी यूज होगा, बिजनेस के लिए भी यूज होगा, नेटवर्किंग भी होगी। और ये पिक्चर्स के साथ पूरी एक डायरेक्टरी बन जाएगी लाइक ऑफ फेसबुक, जो कि WMO मिडिल ईस्ट की डायरेक्टरी होगी। क्योंकि अभी मेंबर्स को हम बनाते हैं, मेंबर कहते हैं हमें क्या फायदा है, हम उसको कहेंगे आपको डायरेक्टरी में भी, अगर आप पेड मेंबर हो तो आप डायरेक्टरी में आपको पिक्चर्स मिलेंगी, पेड नहीं है तो आपको खाली नाम मिलेगा। कुछ हम कैटेगराइज करेंगे, इसको कैटेगरीज बनाएंगे, बाद में ऑफलाइन डिस्कस करेंगे किस तरह से लेके चलना है। बहुत अर्ली में बनाया, बहुत शॉर्ट आइडिया है, 2 दिन में इसको हमने किया है कि डायरेक्टरी बनाए, WMO मेंबर डायरेक्टरी बनाए, मिडिल ईस्ट इसको स्टार्ट करेंगे, अगर सब आपको अलाउ करोगे तो उसको मार्केटिंग जाएंगे। इस तरह की डायरेक्टरी होगी, एक रफ अभी आइडिया बनाया, इस पर किसी के कोई भी सजेशन हो तो हमें दीजिएगा, बिजनेस वाइज, कैटेगरी वाइज, मेंबर वाइज और थैंक यू वेरी मच। बिल्कुल करेक्ट करेंगे, लेकिन हम क्या करेंगे, हम उन मेंबर्स को ईमेल करेंगे कि आपको यूजर नेम पासवर्ड अपना रजिस्टर करो, ताकि आपका मोबाइल नंबर और ईमेल आईडी वेरीफाई हो जाएगा। फिर आप अपनी पिक्चर्स खुद डाल देंगे, उसको पीछे बैकएंड पे वेरीफाई करेगा। पूरा ये बन चुका है, इतना तैयार हो गया। और
the database and the IT technology behind this, who is the ownership of this? Who's owning this? So where is it situated? Where is it?
This idea came just day before yesterday.
Okay, so
I asked Salman bhai, I told I will discuss Bashir bhai and I will finalize it as per OPEs, what is approved, what is not approved. The idea came, we did it. This is what
I did it is in principle, subject to all the details being refreshed.
Of course. Of course, because we don't have directory until now. Yeah. Yes. We should have a directory.
Done. But we need to move on, please.
Yeah. So we are done with the directory. Salman bhai, you know the deal, right? Very good idea. Very good idea. He mentioned this, I forgot this. He mentioned that automatically census will come, that if you want to be part of women directory, come in to enroll it, and then we will get the census, we will get the details. But for the census, I want to request Indian chapter and Pakistan chapter, please, 1 minute. That please do census. Without census, you are just firing in the bullet in the air. You have no idea what you are doing. For the website, I have the budget. No, as Iqbal said that why the projects are not happening, we will finance it, we will do it, we will gift it to WMO. Non-zakat payment, it is a gift from my side, personally. I'll give it.
The issue of census has been coming up now. It has come in just about every AGM for the last 10 years, right? So if there is somebody who takes the ownership, otherwise it's just discussion.
I agree, 100%. Some committee should be made, please. And Pakistan and Indian chapter should be made responsible.
There needs to be teams that are responsible. Asif Rangunwala, at the Strategic Review Conference in May 2022, Asif Rangunwala and Imran Farooq from Zamana, they agreed to fund it, $250,000.
One thing has been agreed, it's implementation.
We need to move that. But our new CEO, which we'll discuss inshallah, when
please put it in the agenda, that we should make a committee. Like
Guys, we got to move on.
We are done with this. I just want to introduce Zinata ji, our ladies chairperson. She's very active, mashallah. She is like a right hand to us. Our youth, Mr. Yasir, he will present his presentation for the youth. I have a wonderful team. Afzal bhai, mashallah, very hardworking. I am not doing it alone. With the team member, Afzal bhai, Ghulam bhai, and Anil bhai, of course. Anil bhai is like main pillar for Middle East. What we are doing is because of all these people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Guys, we're breaking Salah and lunch, and we're back at 2:30. Inshallah, 2:30.
I forgot Ghulam bhai. Ghulam bhai, जो है ना वो main मनी इनके पास है, साइन करते तो